Death of Anna Garcia by Nadeen, Zaid, and Cody. The temperature was 92 degrees and the inside of her house was 73. She was showing previous signs with a temperature of 100.6, a blood pressure of 140/90, and a respiratory rate of 23 breaths per minute. August 13th, Monday morning, she died. She was wearing heavy clothing during a heat wave, and she died at the age of 38 and was found dead at 9:56 by her neighbor, Doug Green. At the crime scene, there was vomit near her face, her lips and fingers were blue. There was a pool of blood on the floor, and there was some on the desk. Her insulin pill, her insulin pen and aspirin pills were on the floor as well. There was a head wound to her right temple, bloody shoe prints, and 4 injection marks on the left thigh. Snapple, highly containing sugar, was on the floor. Her vomit indicated that she didn't drink anything in the morning. The bloody shoe print was Anna's, and her lips and fingers were blue because there wasn't enough blood going through her body to reach those areas. The blood on the desk and the desk and her head because she fell, hit her head hard enough to make an open wound. She knew she was about to go into a diabetic coma, so that's why she tried injecting herself, but failed 4 times. She would take the aspirin to help cope with the stress of work. In these two charts, they show insulin and glucose. Anna has type 1 diabetes, so her insulin will stay at 0, but her glucose will go up and stay up. Patient A doesn't have neither type 1 nor type 2, so their insulin goes up and goes down at an even rate along with their glucose. Patient B has type 2, so they will have insulin, but it goes up and it goes down very slowly, just like their glucose. And these graphs show the same thing. Anna's insulin flatlines while patient A's goes up and goes down, and patient B's rounds off and goes down slow. And its glucose goes up and slowly goes down, just like patient B's, but patient A's goes up a little bit and then goes back to normal. These are the careers that are involved with Anna's diseases. The endocrinologist, which helps keep the diabetic's blood sugar in check. The nutrition or dietitian helps the diabetic with a food plan and exercise. Primary care physician makes sure that they are at the perfect height and weight ratio. The certified diabetes educator teaches and supplies the diabetic with their pumps, pens, and whatever they need. The ophthalmologist is to help them with their eyes because diabetes can affect it. The psychologist or psychiatrist is to help them cope with the mental strain put on them from getting this life-altering disease. The podiatrist is to help them with their legs and feet, as diabetes can cause tingling or numbness, and if left untreated can be very serious.
Okay, now on to the diseases. So, all of the diseases listed here severely affected Anna throughout her life, and they led to many ongoing health problems, which ultimately led to her death. Type 1 diabetes. So, type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune disease where the pancreas stops producing insulin, which is needed to turn the glucose, which is sugar, in your body into energy. Anna was diagnosed when she was 14 years old, and before officially being diagnosed, she dealt with symptoms like weight loss, fatigue, frequent urination, excess thirst, which are all signs of type 1 diabetes. Anna had to manage her diabetes by injecting insulin for her carb intake, checking her blood sugar before every meal, and watching her diet because certain foods could affect her blood sugar more than others, like foods high in sugar. Before Anna's death, she ate several foods high in sugar, and in her food diary, she wrote that she ate Oreos, marshmallows, ice cream, chips, and soda. All of these foods are extremely processed and high in sugar, and because Anna's diabetic, her pancreas doesn't produce the insulin needed to turn that sugar into energy. So instead, the glucose remains in her bloodstream, causing her blood to become thick and syrupy. Also, when diabetes is left untreated, it weakens the immune system, which made Anna more susceptible to other diseases throughout her life. The excess sugar in her body caused nerve damage as well, and she dealt with swelling in her hands and feet, which is called edema. The sharp sugars in her bloodstream are what attacked her kidneys and damaged them over time. And because sugar is sharp, it punctured the blood vessels in her kidneys, and they became very narrow and clogged. The last blood sugar that was recorded for Anna was 280, which is way above the goal range, which indicates that Anna was hyperglycemic. The goal range for blood glucose levels is around 70 to 125 milligrams per deciliter. This shows how dangerously high Anna's blood sugar levels were. Her A1C was also at 11%, proving that her blood sugar levels were high for over an extended period of time. What a hemoglobin A1C test is a test that indicates the average blood sugar levels over around 2 to 3 months at a time. A diabetic's A1C should be anywhere from 6 to 7%. Because Anna's high blood sugars, there were ketones found in her urine, which means that her body was burning fat for energy instead, and this was making her blood extremely acidic, which is why she always felt fatigued, dehydrated, and needed to urinate. Sickle cell anemia. So, sickle cell anemia is a red blood cell disorder where there aren't enough healthy blood cells to carry oxygen throughout the body. It's identified as red blood cells being destroyed and the blocking of blood vessels, causing them to break down. Anna had increased risk of blood clots because of her sickled cells, and as you can see in the image, the sickled cells are shaped like crescents instead of rounded like normal blood cells should be. Because Anna's cells were sickled, they became trapped in her vessels and splenic arteries, which caused them to rupture. Anna was diagnosed at 4 months of age, meaning she had to deal with the complications of sickle cell anemia her entire lifetime. People with sickle cell anemia also go through painful episodes called crises, which can lead to a sudden spilling of blood in her spleen and liver congestion. This left Anna with very poor blood circulation, and there wasn't enough blood going to her heart and brain, which led to the failing of her organs. Urinary tract infection. A urinary tract infection, or UTI for short, is an infection in any part of your urinary system that could affect your kidneys, ureters, bladder, and urethra. Anna's urinalysis confirmed that she tested positive for a gram-negative bacteria called Serratia marcescens. The bacteria that enters your urinary tract through the tube that carries your urine from your body, which is the urethra, can travel to your kidneys. Bacteria can also spread through your bloodstream to your kidneys, which is what happened to Anna. The infection in her urethra spread up her body and into her bloodstream, which caused damage to her kidneys. Her kidneys were also constantly being overworked from removing the excess glucose from the blood due to her diabetes and how she didn't control her blood sugar levels. The symptoms she experienced from her UTI were pelvic pain, an increased urge to urinate, pain with urination, and blood in her urine. Her urine was a faint pink color and it came out very cloudy. And because Anna's body was already weakened from all of her other diseases, her immune system was unable to fight off the infection. Her left kidney also showed signs of necrosis, which is the damaging of most or all the cells in organs or tissues from things like diseases, injury, or failure of the blood supply. Heart disease. So, heart disease is made up of conditions where blocked vessels can lead to things like heart attacks, chest pain, or strokes. Anna's family history, mixed with her unbalanced lifestyle, are what led to her multiple heart conditions throughout her life. Her autopsy report indicates that Anna had a mitral valve prolapse, which led to the blood flowing back into the right atrium. This is when the valve between the heart's upper and lower chambers is closed improperly, which can lead to irregular heartbeats and shortness of breath. Anna also experienced a blocked coronary artery, which caused damage in her heart's blood vessels, and it caused a plaque buildup. She had left ventricular hypertrophy, which is the thickening of the left ventricle because of her high blood pressure. All of these diseases included major symptoms like arrhythmia, which is a fast and irregular heartbeat, chest pains and difficulty breathing, dizziness, and shortness of breath. During the time of Anna's death, because she had blockages in her arteries and valves, her heart was unable to continue pumping blood for the rest of her body, which limited the oxygenated blood from reaching her brain. Hypercholesterolemia. So, hypercholesterolemia is the excess amount of cholesterol, which is a type of lipid, also known as fat, in the body. Due to the high amount of cholesterol in the body, blood flow became limited and the risk of heart attack increases. Anna's total cholesterol was 389 milligrams per deciliter, putting her in more danger of heart problems. Because of Anna's high cholesterol levels, the cholesterol caused blockages in her valves, affecting her rhythm. Anna had a family history of high cholesterol, meaning it was more likely for her to have developed heart complications as she got older. And also considering her unhealthy diet and inability to manage her lifestyle, it was inevitable. Low-density lipoprotein, or LDL for short, is often called the bad cholesterol because it collects in the walls of your blood vessels, and it raises the chances of health problems like heart attacks or strokes. When the cholesterol builds up, it blocks the blood flow in the arteries, which reduces the blood flow to them. This is also known as atherosclerosis, when the plaques of fatty material build up on the inner walls. High-density lipoprotein, or HDL for short, is known as the good cholesterol because it helps remove other forms of cholesterol from your bloodstream.
Anna Garcia had many different complications throughout her body, but with those complications did come medications. On the top left corner, we can see the medications that she took, such as aspirin, which is a fever reducer, or a pain reliever from mild to moderate pain type drug, which is over the counter, but can also be prescribed by doctors. Insulin to help with her type 1 diabetes, and as stated before, with type 1 diabetes, there is no insulin present. And so when she takes the insulin, it helps to regulate the blood sugar throughout her system. Her antibiotics would help her esmarcesins or her UTI. It would just help treat the infection itself and ultimately get rid of it. Her hydroxia, which helped with sickle cell anemia, it just helped reduce the episodes, well, the frequency of these episodes that would occur with her sickle cell anemia, working with aspirin to reduce the painfulness of these of the sickle cell anemia episodes. Her Vasotec or ACE inhibitor, which is to help control her hypertension or her high blood pressure. Cause of Anna Garcia's death. After collecting information about Anna Garcia and her problems, we have come to the conclusion that Anna Garcia died of a diabetic coma after giving into diabetic ketoacidosis, or a DKA. The video on the top left-hand side explains what happens to our body when a person is in a DKA.
If you're not getting the insulin you need, the sugar you eat stays in your blood instead of being stored in the tank. When this happens, your body won't have the fuel it needs when it needs it, and your body will seek out alternative sources to break down into fuel. One of the first sources it looks for is fat. Except when your body breaks down fat, it leaves ketones in your bloodstream that make your blood acidic. Together with high blood sugar, acidic blood from the ketones can make you sick and put your body in a state of diabetic ketoacidosis, or DKA. And DKA is really, really serious. It can even be fatal. The most common reasons for DKA happening are developing type 1 diabetes, missing taking your insulin, getting an infection, and malfunctioning equipment.
It illustrates the symptoms and complications that occur when a person's diabetes is left untreated, leading to life-threatening problems. Her medical history documents and list of complications all contributed to this outcome. Because of her uncontrolled blood sugar levels and lack of insulin she was receiving for her sugar intake, the glucose remained in her bloodstream, which made her blood extremely acidic, causing her blood to get thicker and making it harder for her heart to continue pumping blood, and harder for her blood to get to her other parts of the body, such as the fingers. She also had ketones in her bloodstream, and her body became severely dehydrated, causing her to feel lightheaded and ultimately collapse. Many of her other diseases, such as UTI, tachycardia, unhealthy diet, lack of exercise, high blood pressure levels, and high cholesterol levels, also played a major role in the death in Ana Garcia's death. In conclusion, the combination of all the diseases Ana dealt with throughout her lifetime and her high blood sugar levels causing her to fall into diabetic coma are what ultimately led her to her death in the end. Unit 1 explained. There were 4 manners of death put into consideration, as Ana could have died from a homicide, a suicide, natural accident, or just a regular accident. But because of her, we believe that it's a diabetic coma. We do believe it is a natural accident. Because of the cause of her death was her health conditions and diseases. We also examined her blood spatter, her fingerprints, her hair, shoe prints, her shoe prints, skin, and urine test. But what ultimately helped us to lead for the crime scene were the 4 methods listed, such as the link, the zone, the spiral, and the line. The line method helped find association between evidence, such as her drink with like near her hand, and her insulin where her leg is. The zone, which helps focusing on smaller zones of the crime scene to get a precise look at all evidence, such as her shoe print and then a shoe mark that did occur. Spiral zone, which started from the outer edge and moving to examine all parts of the crime scene, and like in a circle. And a line method, which examined her arm's length to determine any valuable evidence in their areas, going up and down, and then left and right. So what contributed to Ana Garcia's death was, as we stated, many different things. It began when she was a baby. She was diagnosed with sickle cell disease, continued on to her family history, and then continued on to her urine. And as we make our way down, we can see that it did progressively get worse, such as ketones were found in Ana's blood. And then before her death, Ana did eat very unhealthy things that she wasn't supposed to consume into her blood. And then her DKA caused the swelling in the brain, dizziness, fever, thirst, and frequency urination, all symptoms Ana felt prior to her death. And as we continue, we can see that it did lead to her end. And this is our APA citations. And this is why we believe, and this is how Ana Garcia died.